If you want to go on a hike in Newberg, there are a lot of great options right here in town without having to drive 30 minutes away. I have 2 little kids and know how important it can be to get out of the house so the kids don't destroy it without having to drive too far. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing 9 of my favorite walking and hiking trails, all either right inside of Newberg or just a few minutes away. I'm also going to rank them on difficulty for kids and or new hikers, so you can decide whether or not you want a workout or if it's a place that you should take your 2-year-old. So I'm going to start with the easiest level 1 path and move up to the level 5, which is the most difficult trail and happens to be my favorite. All right, with that, let's go ahead and get started. All right, first up is trail number 1, which is Friends Park. Now this is the easiest one on here. It's really just like a flat paved walking trail. It's got about an 8-acre park. The whole thing is about a 1/3 of a mile walk around, and there's a playground right in the middle. So this is perfect for just getting out in nature and going on a nice stroll. This trail, along with actually most of the others on this list, are maintained by CPRD. They do a pretty good job. They've also got some pictures and things that I can show along the way. All right, next up is the Peace Trail. Now the Peace Trail is a hidden gem within Newberg. Peace Trail is owned by North Valley Friends Church, and it's open to the public, but you can't find it on Google Maps, which is kind of what makes it unique. It's a pretty easy path. I'd again still put it at a level 1 difficulty. The whole thing's about 3/4 of a mile, so it's pretty easy to walk around with a stroller or just go on a nice walk. There's some woods there, and I've shown on the map what the trail actually looks like because I couldn't find anything like that online. They also have some guided meditations and things online. Actually, I put a link in the description so you can look at that. There's 12 peace poles along the trail. There's also a labyrinth that you can go into. So if you want to go in a nice peaceful spot and do some meditation, it might be a good option. All right, next up is Dundee-Billick Park. Now this one is in Dundee, which is just a couple minutes outside of Newberg. And this is another one that's great to just go out, get in nature and go for a stroll. It's mostly flat, but it's paved, and there is a little uphill section if you want to get a little more exercise. They don't have anything online about the length of the path, but there is a sign right there in the park. If I remember right, it's just over 1/2 of a mile. So again, this is a beautiful park. It's a nice spot to go out. And really, this is more of just a walk. I wouldn't necessarily call it a hike, but great to go and get some exercise out in a beautiful setting. By the way, if you like getting information about Newberg, every 2 weeks, my team, the Joyful Roberts Group, sends out a newsletter with our latest videos, our latest podcast about the amazing people in Newberg, along with local real estate news, tips for homeowners, free giveaways, and a lot more. There's a link where you can sign up in the description below. And with that, let's go ahead and move on to level 2 trails. So the first one on the list is the Chehalem Glen and Gutman Loops. This is the trail that surrounds the Chehalem Glen golf course. Now this is a favorite among local parents because there's a lot of it that's paved. It's a pretty easy walk, and a big portion of it, about half, is in the woods. So you can have a fairly easy walk. The kids can enjoy it. You can play in nature. There's even access to a creek. And so it's a pretty fun one to go to. We've gone on it several times with our kids and other families around town. And I'd call this one a level 2 because it's decent exercise because of the length, but there aren't any like crazy inclines or anything that make it too difficult for like a kid to walk up or for pushing a stroller. All right, next up for level 3, first one on this list is Champoeg. Now Champoeg is a little bit farther outside Newberg. It's about 10 minutes, but I absolutely had to include this one because it is a beautiful, huge Oregon State Park, and it draws people from all over the Portland metro area, and it just so happens to be right in our backyard. I know how it is sometimes when things are close, you kind of take it for granted, but if you haven't gone to Champoeg yet, I highly recommend you go check it out. You do need a $5 pass if you don't already have an Oregon State Park pass, but it's worth it. Now I rate this one a level 3 because there's nothing too intense that kids can't handle, but the whole thing is pretty long. It's several miles if you want to do all of the different loops and paths. All right, next up is Ewing Young, and this is probably my favorite trail that's actually inside Newberg, and it's actually where I am right now. It backs up right to our neighborhood, and it is a really beautiful, it feels like you're right in the middle of nature. even though there is a bypass that you can hear over in the background. But it's a really nice spot to come out and be in the middle of the woods right in town. It's a little over a mile long, and I would rate it as a level 3 just because, it's kind of at that moderate length, and there are some hills and stuff that little kids might not want to be up. It's definitely going to give you a workout if you're pushing a stroller, and little kids are definitely going to want to be in the stroller. But our kids were probably between 3 and 4 by the time they were actually able to go up some of the steeper hills on the route. So every kid's different, but I'd rate it probably a level 3. All right, next up, last on the level 3 list is Schaad Park. Now, Schaad Park is kind of interesting. It's also maintained by CPRD, but apparently it has the longest slide in Oregon. It has a 30-foot long stainless steel slide. So just thought that was interesting to throw out there. It's a fun one to check out. But that is about a mile loop. It zigzags all the way up this hill behind the Greens neighborhood. So if you know where the Greens is on the east end of town, up on that hill, Schaad Park kind of winds up there and then goes around. And it's a pretty decent hike. There's amazing views up there. I'd call it a level 3 because even though it's not too long, there are some pretty not intense inclines, but it is quite a bit of an incline. All right, next up for level 4 is the Harvey Creek Trail. Now, Harvey Creek actually has 2 entrances. So one is in Dundee, right at the top of Viewmont Drive, and the other one is on the other side of Harvey Creek down on Red Hills Road. And that entrance at Red Hills Road is actually the bottom. So that one is basically a straight incline up. The first part, though, is actually pretty good for kids. It's actually flat, and then it crosses Harvey Creek. You can actually play in the creek there. So when our son was little, we'd go there all the time. We've taken our daughter there sometimes too. We just, now that we have Ewing Young Trail, we kind of come here more often. We also have a creek that we have here. So all that to say, Harvey Creek is a fun spot for kids, but I would give it a level 4 difficulty because even though it's not super long at 1.6 miles, the whole thing is pretty much an uphill walk, and some of the inclines are pretty steep. One of the cool things too is that OregonHikers.org added some cool pictures and even a trail map so you can see what the path looks like. All right, next up is level 5, and this is the most difficult trail on the list. This one is at Bob and Crystal Riley State Park. Now, technically this one is a little bit farther. It's about 15 minutes from Newberg, but I had to include it because this is actually my favorite nature trail in the area. I actually did a whole video on this one that you can check out. It should be in that corner right there in that card. So you can click that, watch the whole thing, and I give like a whole overview. But this park is absolutely huge. There's miles and miles of trails. You can take a horse up there even during some of the better weather months. But this is probably the most legitimate, like, actual hike. If you're a serious hiker, there's trails for all experience levels here. There's also some pretty serious inclines. It goes way out into the middle of nowhere. So recommend having a hiking buddy. It's just safer that way. I saw some cougar tracks, so you never know. It's better safe than sorry. All right, so I'd love to hear what you think. Did you learn anything in this video? Are there any trails that you learned about that maybe you didn't know about, or maybe you think you'll try out now that you've learned about it? Please let me know in the comments. I love to hear feedback and know what people like, what people don't like. If there's any trails you think I should do a more like deeper dive on, please let me know about that too, because I don't want to waste people's time if it's not something people are interested in, but this is the kind of stuff that I love doing, being out in nature. Also, don't forget to sign up for a newsletter. If you guys are watching the videos, you like learning about Newberg, that has a lot of great stuff about Newberg, especially when it comes to like real estate, homeowner tips, cool things like that. It also has our Giving Town podcast in these videos. So definitely subscribe to that. And I appreciate you watching this video. I hope you liked it, and I'll catch you in the next one.